Hello, everybody. We're here today with James, all the way from Portugal, with a nice new SIM card. James, I have to ask you something. Are you a doctor? Are you a teacher?
I'm glad you asked that. So I'm going to have to come back with a question to that. What is your perception of what a doctor is?
Someone that's supposed to look after you or make you better, but hey, we know that's not true nowadays. But what is it for you? Go on then. Are you a doctor of the vegetables?
No, so what you've just said, I am a doctor in that sense. In the sense of how I've been to a university and got a doctorate and learned the pharmaceutical route and the allopathic route, no. I've got 2 Reiki certificates and I've got testimonies. I mean, that's really all the proof you need. This is not like the outside world. So I couldn't put anything on Facebook like this.
Yeah. So what's this word here? Wahnfried University. What is that about then? Explain.
Right. It's pronounced Wahnfried. What it is, I share the same birthday with Richard Wagner, the composer. His residence at the end of his life, he named it Wahnfried, which means freedom from madness. So I thought, well, that perfectly describes this place. Now, Julia of getting tongue-tied here. Julia of Simplicity Revealed Channel, she's starting homeschooling because she is actually a qualified teacher. And I thought, what is really needed is an adult version. So it's like, let's have a Wahnfried universe. So the deprogramming. So what I mean by that, a few weeks ago, and this is the inner work is essential in community living. So Julia said we need some bee boxes for honeybees. She sent me a YouTube link, which by strange coincidence, I actually looked on YouTube at how to build a bee box. So I've created this thing, and she said, well, that's not big enough, it's too small. I said, well, that's what the video says to do. So she looks at the video again, and it's a pollinator bee box, not a honey bee box. So now I'm like, I've spent all this time, and I'm feeling angry. But I'm not angry at Julia. I've turned it inwards because it's like, this is down to me because I didn't see that critical word pollinator rather than honey. I should have thought, hold on a minute, this is not the right type of thing. So I'm actually then angry at myself rather than at Julia. And this is what community living is all about. It's owning your own shit, as it were. As Lana Labonte, I asked her, I said, can you remind me of what that phrase, it's perfect as a mantra. She says, make your mess your message. So it's me, soul and spirit. So you're putting your whole self into it. And then an age is a time. Well, we're here for a time. So the mess or what you create, I mean, it's perspective. Some people might say, oh, I don't like that. That's not my taste in whatever. Doesn't make it right or wrong. But I've lost my train of thought now.
Well, you're a doctor now, or what is it, a professor?
Well, a professor because I profess a way of life. I go on the policy, like at the moment, I cannot advocate doing a mono fruit fast like grapes. They're not quite right. They're growing, and we will have an abundance of grapes. So both myself and Julia are going to do a 21-day grape fast, living on or eating nothing but grapes. Then I can come up with a video and say, well, my experience of it is this, I feel like this, and whether I had a craving or something. I mean, considering when I was in Scotland, I drank nothing but coffee, 12 cups a day. And you can't break any addiction, as it were, from the intellect. It has to come from the heart. So totally unplanned. What day are we on today? Is it Wednesday, isn't it? So Sunday, without planning it, I went the whole day with no coffee, and I've only had 1 cup in the last 2 days, and I haven't had a craving. I'm more in shock. It's like, why haven't I got a caffeine craving? But
well, that's good.
definitely feel the benefit.
That's what makes you a professor now. So you're Professor James.
Lemon. Well, I'm professing a more natural way of living that's in harmony with nature. One of the best examples of if you go against nature is industrial farming, because you've got these open brown fields, so you've got the sun beating down, you've got the wind, so the topsoil is being eroded and blown away because there's no leaf mulch on it, where in a natural environment the trees will drop leaves, it starts making a topsoil, and it also holds the moisture in. Oh, it's starting to rain. How unusual.
What, today?
Actually, it's very unusual.
What? It's sunny here,
Yeah,
James. It's completely sunny. It's like a relaxing day today. It's all sunny and warm. It's 21 degrees. It's not the hottest, but it's still nice. You've got rain. That makes a change. I'm putting your picture up now, James. You sent me a picture of you.
Okay. It's a very sort of heavy clay soil, and it does go like concrete. It's baked by the sun. But then when you do get the heavy rain, it turns to ice.
We're looking at a picture of you now, James.
Oh, yeah.
You sent me that picture of you out working.
Yeah.
Out in the hills.
Yeah, it's mostly this land is the size of 7 football pitches, I think. Not really sure where the
that's
northern
quite big
boundaries
then, isn't it?
to it, but it's sort of a ribbonnated strip, and it follows. There's a creek down the bottom, so the orange and lemon trees down the bottom, nobody's watered them, and it's just below ground level, so there's also like an underground natural stream. But if you sort of follow the creek along, we've got a cave where we go and get the water. But imagine it, we've got no electricity bills, we've got no water bills, no council tax, no rent to pay. Oh, here we go. It's raining.
Mind you, it's good for the crops, isn't it?
Well, yeah, this is ideal. Afternoon, coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just
transplanted a weeks ago.
Yeah, just actually, James is on a different sim at the moment, and it's absolutely perfect, but it just went a little bit blank then. So I just went through the pictures on here. So you sent me these pictures.
Yeah.
So, picture of the cats.
Oh, yeah, that's Indica and Rosie. Rosie's curled up in a ball, sound asleep. Indica's now just shutting out the rain.
Which is the light one? Which is the light-coloured cat called?
The light-coloured cat is Rosie.
Oh,
I mean, it's unusual.
Girl.
She's like ginger. The cat is very rare.
Yeah, she's quite light, isn't she?
They will keep chasing the lizards and catching them.
Oh, do they eat them?
Well, the usual thing like a cat does, it play with it. I sort of try and rescue them, and it's like, run, really, your life depends on this, run, otherwise she'll get you again. Because it's a bit cruel. They don't just kill them straight away, do they? They play, then pounce on it again, and
oh, nature.
it's like, I don't want to be there.
So, just asking, how did they get this 7 acres, 7 football pitches worth of land? How did they get that?
It was incredible. Julia got the message saying, I want all these vegan people off my land from the previous sort of land they were on. Within 12 hours, by putting a message on a local Facebook group, this guy David says, well, I've got land, you can have it for 10 years for nothing. So that's how it all started.
Right.
And it's not been touched for 3 years, so the ground is really good. Although it looks like it's sort of dead because of the colour. There's I've dug down and broke the soil up, and there's worms down there, and we had 2 days of really sort of afternoons of heavy rain, and bramble especially will suddenly shoot, and everything goes green. It's like a garden, a self-employed gardener's dream. Sun and then rain, because everything grows. People want the lawns cut, they want the hedges cut, and that sort of thing. But yeah, nature loves that combination of sun and then rain, and everything just springs to life. We've also got electrical going on here as well, which is basically coils of copper wire, mustn't have any steel in it, round a pole, and you put it in the ground next to a plant. I'm going to make a short on this one. There's a mango tree that looked like it had died. Since putting this coil, it's really flourished, and it's a lot of new growth. It's harnessing the atmospheric electricity, basically, and it does wonders for crop.
What's the thing you're building? Just there's a little sort of box with a car on it. A picture. The car's at the top, and then there's this thing that you're making. What are you putting in there then? Cactuses.
Oh, that's the. Well, that's the entrance. So it's a low maintenance bed. That it's partly to dispel the.
James. Just got to sort James out. 1 second. Oh, he's back now. Are you all right back, James?
Yeah.
Oh, he just went for a moment.
I don't know what happened there.
He went doo-doo. So say again, so you carry on.
Yeah, so as I understand it, about 3 years ago, there was basically sort of like music festivals and loud music. People like the peace and quiet here, so I think they sort of look and think, oh, another group of hippies, and they're going to have music and things. So first impression, make the entrance look like, oh, maybe we were wrong about them. So, and it looks attractive as well. It's welcoming. There's some beautiful lilac coloured trees and these beautiful blue flowers. So I definitely want to get some of those to put on the banks at the entrance as well on the other side. So yeah, I've put a low bamboo sort of retaining wall, and so it'll set off the colour of the things that are in front of it.
Right.
Because the next section, and maybe do sort of alpines and carefully choose some sort of natural stones, nice colours and things, blend them, and then this is the beauty of it. You've got everything you need here. It's amazing. Even I've just created a flower bed. It's an earth brick structure that had sort of partly collapsed. I think it was like a flower bed originally. So I've put a cement rendering on it and changed the shape of it slightly, so it's got a ledge on the one side, so opposite where I sit. So I'll build a little box so I can have like a planter and then put some flowers in that as well.
Cool.
Anything that attracts bees, yellows and purple colours the bees love, and then everything benefits. I mean, there's nothing wasted here. It's even the human body waste. There's loads of these old terracotta tiles, so I thought I'll make a cell pipe out of them. So every morning it's sort of emptying the bucket, and it's like, in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and into the hole he goes. But it's giving back to nature. I mean, what else am I supposed to do to it? Flush it down the toilet and give it back to the system? Because what does the system do? It chemically treats it and gives it back to everybody. And it's not qualitatively pure, the water. It's quantitatively, but it's still got particles of things that are not good. And you think, what goes down the average toilet? Tablets, medicines, all sorts. People vomiting after they've been to the pub. It all goes down the toilet, and then that's processed, and it's like, oh, you're drinking that water. So,
1 second, James, 1 second. So we're looking at a video right now, James. It's called Happy Earth Day, the Germinating of Seeds, Oranges and Lemon Seeds.
Yeah, I thought I'd have a go. This is YouTube, you can sort of look up all this stuff for nothing. It's like, I've tried just putting orange and lemon seeds in pots and nothing happened. So you have to sort of kickstart them, as it were, by what I do, I soak them overnight. So they've got a hard shell, and then there's like a fifth layer under that, and then you've got the actual seed. You sort of dry them off and then put them in slightly dampened tissue paper. Then you put them in a sealable bag and put them in a warm, dark place for 12 to 14 days, and then hopefully after that you've got this little shoots that's come out of them, and then you can start planting them in the pots and things.
1 second, we'll just watch this. So that's brilliant then. I've done that as well, James. You can actually plant tomatoes. If you take up half a tomato, I did it with a few other things, but you're saying the lemon seeds didn't do that.
You've got a climate in the UK that's not really ideal for lemon, so it's a replicating what nature does. But I mean, the other school of thought is just throw seeds out, and what's meant to grow will grow. So
permaculture, you mean?
It's a sense of achievement, saying, well, now I've had a go. I've had some 12 germinated, 3 didn't, and they're starting to come up in the 2 pots. I put 6 in each, and then I did a batch of 54. Which is it's called Happy Earth Day because it's like an inverse.
I'm here. 1 second, my
birthday.
son's here, James. I just got to stop for a moment. Really sorry. 1 second. Yes, we're back on now. I had to stop. I've got a flat battery, and my son came round to put the charger on my battery. So we've done that now, and he's just left. And now we're back on with James. And you were explaining about you planting the seeds, James, and that some took, some didn't, some are in pots. So where were you? Sorry.
Well, it's quite amusing. The one tip I will say to everybody: don't make the mistake I made. I've got the seeds on a little card coaster, and I used the compost out of a pot which was still wet at the bottom, so it's come out as a lump, and it's caught the coaster. Of course, the seeds have gone up in the air and disappeared into the leaf molds, and it's like, well, that's the universe. And it's like, well, what grows will grow, and I've learned from the mistake. This is the thing this is the slogan of Wahnfried University. There is no failure, there is only learning. So what you perceive as a mistake is like, I made a mistake that time, but now I know from the experience of doing that not to do that again. So there's no failure, and the seeds may still take. That makes it more exciting. Anyway, what are you going to do about your car battery?
Oh, me? Well, what it is the battery, as I said, I don't know if you heard me out there, it's said it was a 3-year battery, and it's probably 4 years old, so it's coming to the end of its life now.
So no, what you do, you use your imagination, and you visualize and you import that feeling that you're saying to somebody, doesn't matter who, you don't actually, in your imagination, create a person, but just hold the feeling that, wow, I got to the end of the month, that battery did it. Because that's where our energy goes, where our attention goes, where energy flows. This world is so good at programming us to, well, I don't do that, I might lose my job, I don't do this. And of course, that's exactly
the only thing
what
my son said to me was, you've got to go on longer journeys and charge it up. You just going up and down the road, basically to Newbury and back, it's just not enough to keep the battery charged. So I suppose over the next few weeks it'll lose its charge again because I'm not doing long enough journeys to charge it up.
Well, you're at the best time of year because it's normally winter time, in the cold mornings. If they've gone flat once, they have a tendency to drain.
Well, I did tell you when I was outside.
Me
and Mickey went up to Coombe Hill. It's beautiful up there. It's the tallest. I've even taken James up there when he stayed with me, and it's just a lovely view. Remember, we realised we were in low cloud. We were actually in the cloud. It was all misty and everything round us. But it was 8 o'clock at night. It was dark, and it was getting dark, and I went to turn the engine, and it wouldn't go. So I had to wait for my son to come out, and me and Mickey were sort of sitting in this position. The car was sort of a bit on an angle, and the windows are open, and we just sat in the car, and it was freezing because we couldn't close the windows up because the battery'd gone. And Tom came out and got us going. I mean, that was my fault because I left the ignition going, and it just drained the battery. But that was in about March, about the middle of March. So it's been fine for 2 months, and now it's done it again. It's just an old battery, but. Yes, I need it to. I'm going to say good battery every day if it stays charged till the end of the month. Yeah.
The thing is, it's like if you're doing short journeys and it's dark, you're putting lights on. You may put wipers on, the radio on, so that it's all taking power off the battery. But I mean, summertime is the better time of year to have a problem with the battery. The winter time, you can more or less say that the first cold morning it's going to be flat. So. There's a positive to this, but we're in this realm of duality. So when something is presented to us that appears to be negative, it's like, don't react to it. Just sit back and observe it. Because if there's a negative, it will be followed by a positive. This is how I live.
That's very incredible, James, especially with a battery with a positive and a negative.
Yeah, yeah. Currency and energy flow.
Yeah.
It's amazing the way things just come. What was it? Oh, I wished for some compost, so I was bought a bag of compost. I wished for some flowers, they came. A custard apple, that came. Things just come. You just send it. You just put out the right sort of energy to the universe, like a post-it note, and say, "I can't solve this. I'm giving this back to the universe. This is the sort of death of the self, as it were." And things just come. It's like a boomerang. This whole reality is a series of feedback loops. So whatever you put out, so if you're putting out fears about something, it will pick up on that and match that frequency. So the thing you don't want, and this is the thing, we're all masters at manifesting what we don't want. So it's just flip the polarity on it, and then you can manifest the things that you do require. And I can. There's so many testimonies I can give it to this now. It's incredible. Little things. It's like, could do with some more succulents, and then I get gifted to succulents. It's like, this is brilliant. And the lemons, I went down with the intention of collecting lemons, and the first tree, as I approached it, it just released 2 lemons, and I saw them roll, so I know that you can't get fresher than that. There's no effort apart from just picking them off the ground. All I've then got to do is squeeze them and make lemonade.
How's your little tent house? Is it I can't remember if it's a teepee or a tent.
Yeah, it's a teepee, 9-sided.
Yeah, I thought it was. And I thought, if I said that, it's probably a tent. But how's that going? How's your bedroom and your shower?
I love it. The shower, we got this communal shower, which is open, so you can stand there, get a suntan, and have a shower, and it's just from this spring water. It's just gravity fed through the pipe, and when the sun's on it, it warms in the open air tank. It warms the water up, so you get hot water.
So how many hours a day do you do this then, James?
Sorry?
How many hours a day are you out there doing things?
Today I woke up and I listened to the birds singing, and it was 6:19. So I got up at 6. I thought, 6:44. So I got up, and then I thought, well, I haven't got to do any watering because it's rained overnight. So that's freed me up from doing one thing. So I started doing a bit more bamboo to create like a retaining wall and a sort of back scene to the flowers. I've just been standing and preparing bits of wood to make a bed 40 foot down to the creek, and it's 172 footsteps. So I thought, I'm going to put a bench halfway, because with that wall that I've built, going on the weight of a bag of cement, I'm putting up 30 to 40 kilograms in 2 buckets. Sometimes it's just one single stone. We've got this sort of like natural stone here that looks rusty, and I'd say it's got a lot of iron in it, and they're deceptively heavy. Even the small ones, you think, wow, that's quite a weight. But we've got an abundance of aggregate and things to use here. You got the sort of more reddy brown clay soil. There's more like a grey gravel. So you can use those for walkways and things. And most of the walkways are the creamy colour, almost sandy clay. So when the moon's out, it's like daytime. You can see perfectly well. Don't need any street lights. It's just fantastic. And
do you ever leave this place, James? Are you on it all the time?
I prefer to stay here, to be honest, because there's nothing I really want. There's a few things we still buy in, like tobacco, and coffee and things like that. But the policy is, if we can't grow it here, then cut out the addiction. And the beauty of Portugal, they're very relaxed, so we can grow cannabis here. What they do come down hard on and throw the book at you over is if you're trafficking it. But we're not selling it, we're growing it for ourselves. So there's no problem. And Portugal, mental country, they do this, you notice this with different nations, you'll get something that's a success. So I think what they're doing a test run on is, if we let people smoke and grow their own cannabis, we're cut the crime. And I believe that the crime has dropped, because it's not a progressive thing. This is where they always do this sort of blurring the boundaries of things. Cannabis is a naturally growing plant. It's not a synthetic thing like cocaine, and it has health benefits. But ultimately, again, it's an addiction. So it's something to be addressed. But I thought, well, we'll start with the coffee. We'll address that one. But you can't. You'll fail with any addiction if you're doing it from the intellectual level. It has to come from the heart, because the heart actually has a cellular structure. It's actually got a brain. So the community is like, if the communal kitchen, it's like, leave it as you found it, or leave it better than you found it. And then transparent communication. If somebody says something, it's like, oh, I didn't really, you could have worded that a bit less harshly. But then there's also putting yourself in the other person's shoes. I mean, Julia said a couple of things. It's like, but you're still going through a grieving process with a dog. So I take that into consideration. It's like, well, I'm not taking it personally.
Oh, what happened to the dog then?
He died, unfortunately. He had serious problems with the liver and kidney. He was only 3 years old, but that dog Cosmo, it's like somebody had taken a human face. The eyes look so human, and they put like a dog snout on the front. And I'm sure it's his spirit that sent us the rain, the blossom. But there's no trace of the blossom. It's really weird. And then it rained. And it's like, he sent us rain. Because I remember the day before, he didn't do his normal thing. He just looked round. He was surveying the whole land. It's like, I'm going to send them some rain. But I don't care if anybody says, oh, you know. But to me, it felt like his spirit is still here. He's very much here, but just not in a physical form.
Right.
As far as I can see, I mean, if you look at the system, you've got data collection. So what would be the equivalent? And that would be gaining experiences. That's the real news, those magical moments when you see a butterfly or something, or just hearing the wind whistling through the trees.
I love that. I mean, you know, because I remember I've got a tarot deck, a fairy deck, and a lot of the first cards are all about, they're saying things like, you should be turning your television off and listening to the wind and the trees. So I do sometimes, I sit here and I think, listen to the birds, listen to the wind, listen, it's lovely, the peace, just listening to it.
It is. It's beautiful. It's totally interactive as well. I got a third eye kiss from a butterfly the other day. It's like usual thing. I haven't got my phone because it's on charge, and it's not nearby. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching. It's like a 4-inch wingspan, and I'm thinking,
wow,
the way it's flying. I thought, oh, how beautifully graceful. And next thing, it circled this tree, circled around me, and then landed on my forehead, and then just flown off. It's like it was picking up on the energy of the thoughts. Well, I'm just admiring this butterfly, you know, and it's like appreciate.
If you know, oh, what's his name in Claudio? I couldn't think of his name then. he'll always, like I told him one day that these flies just wouldn't stop banging into me. He said, well, they've got a spiritual meaning. And so all animals have spiritual meanings.
Yeah, that's one of those things, so you got to be careful. It can become a rabbit hole. What I would suggest is if you just type in what is the spiritual meaning of a fly, and then take the one that feels right to you as the answer. Because everything is all inwards, it's intuition. I sort of reminded myself I was going to make a video on the word coincidence, because it's a coincidence.
Yeah, we don't realise the words we're using, do we, James? What they really mean. Talking about breakfast, because you're breaking the fast. Breakfast.
Yeah, we're taught in schools to hear the words in only one way. So, like, a prime example is if you ask most people, if you say the word doctor, they're going to think of someone with a white coat and a stethoscope, or if it's a doctor's surgery, more likely wearing a sort of smartly dressed.
You're the doctor of the plants, aren't you?
Well, I can think of plenty of doctors who aren't medical doctors, like Tchaikovsky, famously. He got an honorary doctorate, so he was Dr. Tchaikovsky, but he's not a medical doctor.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's quite incredible to think that you're probably at least 1,000 miles away, if not more. And we're talking without any delay and everything. You sound like you're just, it sounds like you're closer than Scotland.
Excellent.
Yeah, this one's really good, well, James, because James was a bit worried about having hangouts with his other sim, but this one's perfect.
Well, there's no point me topping up that SIM card because they only give you 5 gigabytes and what they call roaming. So it's like, well, we'll manifest another solution. I'll give it to the universe. So yesterday I've got another SIM card, and I've put it in the phone. It's kept all the numbers and everything. I haven't had to do anything, and it's like another problem because the conscious mind will try and create problems to solve. It's by not thinking that the answers come, because the thinking is the electrical thoughts of the brain. And it stops from the heart. That's why the word me, it's magnetism and electricity. It's the physical bodies. It's the component parts.
Sounds like this place is made for you, James.
Well, yeah, it's showing...
I'm going to find another video now. This one's nearly talking. I want to look at some of what you're doing on the land. So I'm just going to stop this video and go back and put another one on. But carry on. You carry on while I do it.
Well, since I've been here, which is like since the end of March, I've learned how to do dry stone walling, how to interlock stones, how to make earth bricks, how to do cement rendering. They've got this beautiful white cement here, and then mixed with a bit of the clay or a bit of sand, you get this lovely cream colour. So that's where I've done the tiled lettering where it says Dr. Juan Forfar and Wahnfried University. That's all done with those little square tiles.
It's yeah, like, of course you would there, wouldn't you, James? Let's put a like on that one. You would there, though, wouldn't you, James?
Well, Spain and Portugal are renowned. You see a lot of properties, they've got the sort of round the house, they'll have all these decorated tiles. There's a place not so far away, that's all they sell. Lovely illustrations on them. But the fun is like them reusing things. It's like nothing is wasted. So where I've scooped out to make it like this on the side of this flower bed to put like a planter, that got used in with the cement to make a concrete. So there's absolutely nothing is wasted. Everything is priceless.
Oh, did you make that pot plant then? There, the one you've got a little planter here. It's your latest video.
No, that was already there. What I've done, I've put a layer of stone around the top and cemented that on, and then I've done a cement rendering, which I shall then probably paint with a masonry paint over the top of that. And then because earth brick is wonderful unless there's rain, it can start to. Buildings are basically timber framed and then they're earth brick, but they stay lovely and cool on the really hot days. Because
So what are
they're
you
sort of
gonna
like
what are you
6
gonna
foot.
put in that one then, James? Just asking. What seeds have you put in there then?
Well, it's got orange and grape seeds have gone in there. Some have germinated, so that the more ideally you want to put about 20 centimeters of leaf mulch on top. That helps hold the moisture down, which means less watering. This comes from a YouTube channel. The guy was in California. He moved further north, and they get something like 10 to 15 centimeters of rain per year. But every year his crops are getting bigger and bigger, and they don't water. He said, we just look at what nature does. The trees drop
That's
the leaves, it
permaculture though,
starts.
isn't it, James?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
In the
Yeah,
end,
and
that's probably what you'll do in the end. Is in a few years' time it'll all be permaculture. It's all just It's just doing itself, and then you're taking the goods, doing itself, the whole thing, isn't it? Permaculture.
It's also, you're cutting as many ties with the system world, so you're not dependent on it. Because let's face it, most people, if the supermarket's all shut, a lot of people haven't got
Yes,
gardens
that's
to
why
grow their own food.
downstairs they were 50p a bag to plant, and I know how to do tomatoes now because I just think that we should all learn to grow our estate, and we go to the plastic supermarkets. And I'm not saying I don't go, but isn't it better if you start growing some of your own stuff? You can even do it if you're in a flat. You can do microgreens, so you can grow your own stuff if you want. You can start because we're going to need it. You just don't know what they're going to do to us.
Well, it's supply and demand, so they've taken away a lot of independent traders. Greengrocers seem to be with the supermarkets. A lot of the stuff comes wrapped in plastic packaging. Then they talk about there's a plastic problem. But who's causing the problem? Who keeps buying the goods wrapped in the plastic?
I just think we should take the whole lot of the plastic and go and dump it at the supermarket. Then they charge us for getting rid of the plastic, when really it should be the supermarkets. They're the ones doing it in the plastic. We don't want it all in plastic. And they're putting everything in plastic. Everything has plastic around it.
The other thing, if you're growing your own tomato plants from seed, if you put the seed under your tongue for 9 minutes, it encodes that seed with your DNA. Then you make a hole and put the seed in, and you spit into the hole, and you don't water it for 3 days. That seed will then grow, and it will have a different flavour to a neighbouring tomato plant, and it will grow tailored to your.
Oh, is that what I've got to do when I put my tomatoes in? I've got to go. That's it. One for you. One for you. One for you. I've got to put. Oh, I can't put the. I've been doing it. I did it, and it worked, James. But the potatoes didn't, because I was watching a few videos. This is last year, or months ago. But the tomatoes did, but it was half a tomato. You just plant it in and then it grows. They all grew, the tomatoes.
Excellent.
I was really shocked, but what it was is, then winter came and I was only trying. I just wanted to see if it worked. So it did, but before they got the tomatoes, a frost came in and killed them all. But that's the way it is. But I need to do it now. I need to start putting some stuff together now, really.
Melons are another good one. They're about 3 months. We're getting close. They've started a flower here, and the sweet red peppers. I thought they.
Yeah, I just put a video on. It's overcoming negative default programming. You're planting a tree. Sorry.
Right. So the negative default programming is basically going into the victim state. So it's like, why are they doing this to me? That sort of question. But if you look at what's suggested, there are a series of bad scripts, like the news. It's getting you to look everything except inside yourself. And of course, then when you're in that sort of negative, why is this happening to me? The negative energy that you emit, because like mobile phones emit the sort of radiation. The human body is the aura. It's your informed field is a frequent. Everything is frequency in this reality.
Yeah, it is.
It's all it is. All it takes is a flip of the polarity on it. So it's like, well, they're not actually doing to me, because I mean, look, and stamps their feet. That showed the world. Well, the whole world is just oblivious to it. Most people aren't going to be, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's really affected me. and this is the thing. What we feel inside is no, it's like, hold on a minute, why do I feel angry like the bee boxes? I was angry at myself. And the other day, I put these 4 panel chocolate cakes in a plastic box in this sort of cool area. Never thought about Buddy. Well, I've come back up the hill. I thought I'll have one with a coffee. There's the empty box. So he's come through to the kitchen later on because he's heard me in the kitchen thinking, oh, there's food. And I said, Buddy, you can't be hungry. You've already had 4 cakes, haven't you? And I let him sniff the plastic box. When I was eating, he turned away from me. He knew he'd done wrong, but whose fault was it? I can't blame him. I can't be angry.
What is he, by the way? Is this another dog?
He turned up the day before I arrived.
Oh,
He's
right.
got like a white angel. It's like a white angel or angel wings on his chest, and he's sort of had abandonment issues because it's like every time a car went by, he'd chase after it, and I think, and then it was, but it wasn't. Then it wasn't every car, and I thought it's a memory of why have you abandoned me? So I'm hoping he's just going to say, look, I'm doing all right. But he was a bit of a roamer.
That's not the one that died, then?
No, that was Cosmo.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought we'd get it right there. I was getting a bit confused there. Ah, so how many dogs have you got there, then?
At the moment, there's 2 and 2 cats.
It's turning
there
into
may
a
be
right
more soon.
community there, isn't it, James, with the adults?
Well, the cats pay the way. They've got rid of the mice problem in one of the buildings.
Oh, can I ask you something? Sorry, I don't need to... You're just showing your tent where you are, but you've put all this bamboo up down the side. So what was that about then, James? Was it collapsing or something?
No, I came up with the idea of using the bamboo as rebar. But what I found is it's not strong enough for the weight of the stones. But when you use it in conjunction, and so I was using it as like a series of baffles, it does help retain the soil. So when I was rebuilding it, I had a couple of bits that sunk because when that clay soil gets wet, it gets very heavy. So I was able to scoop that out and then use that as like a cement. Where it had collapsed, it's like, well, I haven't lost anything. It's given me the ballast I can use to make a walkway, and now I can start building from the base upwards, which makes sense.
What are you going to do there then? So you've got this stuff in, so what are you going to do to it? Cover it?
Well, for a joke, you look at the history of and golf courses and things, and you'll find these things called follies, normally built by some rich executives, never a construction photo. So I thought, for a joke, this is all organically developed. I'd do something more like a round tower. So some archaeologists in 500 years may come along and say, look, there's a Tatarian tower, and oh, look, there's bamboo, so it must have come from China. And so it's just a sort of a joke back on the system narrative. Because BITCHUTE Channel has just featured this recently about the American Civil War. You cannot any battle scenes. All you get is pictures, sketches.
Yeah, because I don't think it was real, but it is where they put the corporation into the United Kingdom, and America thinks it's Independence Day.
Yeah, all part of the whole external.
That must have been when this lot came, wasn't it? This lot in hundreds.
Well, it's all part of the game. Hand on heart, what is the real history, and how far does it really go back?
We don't know, do we?
You've only got to look at the patterns of things. So a mobile manufacturers, and then you get people on YouTube, they drop them from great heights and then say, oh, this phone survived, this one cracked the screen, and same with this wall. I built this wall and it's being tested. So everything that's created is being tested. Source of this reality that's created it now wants to do just like a man would do that builds a sports car from scratch. Well, you're not going to just sit and look at it. You want to get in and drive it. You want to test it, push it. This source has basically come into multiple individualized forms in human bodies to experience what it's created, and why you've got this perceived system that seems to go against nature. And mandatory testing has been a very big theme for years, I think you'll agree. But that is it, it's to see through all the BS, really, the limiting belief systems.
So are you going to cover that up then, James, as it is, or will it that the more it rains, the more soil you can put all over it, so it sort of becomes embedded in it? I don't know. What are you actually going to do with that?
Well,
nothing much. Leave it as it is.
I could leave it as is. There's one particular stone, I call it Sharky. It comes up on a video I'm going to release tomorrow, and it from one side it looks like a shark mouth, so I may even paint that one just for a joke. But I'm thinking I'll probably encase most of it in like sort of straw and mud. I've deliberately put thistles and grass seeds behind it, so it's like, almost like a wattle and daub, so they grow through anyway. Where it collapsed, even after 2 or 3 weeks, there's thistles and things that have sprung back to life. Imagine like a human body wouldn't be able to take being buried, but nature is incredible. I mean, the others here have noticed how quick I heal, because there isn't a day that doesn't go past. I notice on the shins or on my arms I've got blood that's trickled down where, oh, another cut, when did that happen? And then like by the next day it's gone.
Well, that's good then. You found your heaven then, James, here.
Yeah. The biggest sort of problem really is like going down to the creek in the afternoon, because the mosquitoes, they love where there's open water. They breed, and these pretty sneaky, and they bite you. It feels like an electric shock. But got lemon trees, so I can either use lemon juice or I can use urine, and that will keep them away, repel them. Nothing is wasted. The urine and banana skins go on the plants, especially the cannabis. They seem to like that. The excrement goes down the hill, which is basically doing what an earth toilet does, and what people did traditionally 100 years ago. You dig a hole, you put an outside toilet out of sawdust in it, and then the first year you leave it dormant, the second year you grow flowers on it, and then the third year it's good to grow fruit and veg. So you're giving back to nature, and then nature will give back in return. It's a beautiful cycle. It's a series of feedback loops. You think, we breathe out what we breathe out, the trees breathe in, they give us oxygen. So you've got this beautiful loop. And this is a repeat pattern with anything. When a tree dies, it decays. It provides life for insects. If it's fallen, then gradually it breaks down, it's pulled down into the earth, and it's transmuted into a new form, probably as nutrients for another tree. And then you've got a communication system through tree roots. They talk to each other. It's beautiful, the system. That system, the natural system. There's always positives. It's like the TP zip. It got stuck. I looked at least at how to repair a zipper. All you need is a pair of pliers. How simple. There's a lot to be said for
We're used to replacing things, aren't we, James? Oh, that's broken. Let's get a new one. The washing machine, it could just be a fuse. It could just be a fuse in the plug. But when things break down, we go and get another one. Whereas where you are, if you had the washing machine, you'd mend it.
Yeah. It's like I didn't have any varnish, so it's like, but I've got candle wax. That seems to work on the wood, and it brings out a beautiful shine. It's just not. It was by not thinking. It's by accident, as it were. I had a Roman candle, and as it burns down, it hollows out and then flames. So you have to tip some out. So it's like, what am I going to do with all this wax? And I thought, well, I know. I can use it on that wood.
I take it you're not coming back.
No. No, this climate suits me. I mean, it was 28 degrees the other day, and I'm. To me, it's so much more vitalised, so much more energy. I've gone from where I'm sitting all the time, and all I was doing was either sitting in town and feeding the pigeons, or I was sitting at home and watching YouTube videos. So now I'm sort of rarely sitting down. I've now got the option. I can watch YouTube again because of the change of the SIM card. And that just came about. I didn't have to take any active steps to go and get one. It sounds the real magic. If you put the right intention out there with the right energy, this reality will respond and things just come. This is the real gold. This is the secret. This is why they put all these stories in the news, because where the attention goes, the energy flows. They put attention on the mind because they're telling you fear stories.
But don't forget, they can't wait to lie, can they, James?
Well, no, they don't lie. Now, Observation Deck covered this a few months ago.
Or is it that we don't listen? Because I did a video, I've got one waiting to go out. It's with that Ed Miliband. Do you remember that, when he says the same thing 5 times? And Richard D. Hall's doing it. But basically, if we really listen, we'd have all heard him say the same thing 5 times, but nobody heard it. Nobody's listening. It goes in one ear and out the other. That's what I think.
Well, this is in black and white on Observation Deck channel. It's got the links. You can look at the document. It's a City of London published document that basically says there are 5 men who set the price of gold and silver every day, and they create wars to make money. That's a printed official document. If people can't grasp
how disgusting is that? Gold is worth more than the people. And that seems a bit crazy when it comes from the people.
Well, this whole thing with money, it's in itself is not evil. Say we
Sorry. Money's not evil, it's the people who are evil. But it's evil to do that, to make gold worth more than a human life, really. That's what it is. Let's have wars. So it means more than us, because we don't want war. We want peace. So if they make wars, then people will be casualties in their fake war.
Well, each of these constructed governments don't have any money, so they have to buy arms. So they have to go to these banks, which are then, that's just why every country has a national debt. They're overspending on these artificial wars, or a pretense of war, because you'll notice you can't go say to Syria. You couldn't go on a Thomas Cook holiday and I want to go to Syria. They say, oh, we're not flying there because there's a war. So you can't even verify these things.
Yeah, they're doing it in places we can't get to. I'm just going to change the video. I wanted to tell you, have you, obviously, because you haven't been watching much internet, have you watched that a lot of the companies are going out of business now? It's because, well, what they're saying is that they got so into transsexual stuff, and the people don't like it anymore, and they're not buying the goods. They're boycotting.
Yeah, that's the biggest impression you can make on this.
So it's Target is one. I mean, we don't have Target, so I'm not quite sure what that is. But there's Target, there's Bud Light, and they're talking about Hollywood. The new Mermaid video is a complete flop. But when we realise what Hollywood is, and people like me make videos about the doubles, and then we had that stupid Amber Heard and Johnny Depp court case, which was a load of rubbish, and it goes on. I mean, is it surprising that everybody's had enough?
Well, Amber is cautioned. Heard, what have you heard? What is she really saying?
She wasn't saying anything. It was all about money, wasn't it? Again.
Well, there'd be a deeper thing behind it all.
And also, because she did what she did, supposedly, it ruined Johnny Depp's career, but that wasn't true either. But now, he's all back in the Disney movies. He was saved. But they're saying that Disney has only got so much money left, and because this person was saying Disney feel that they have the right, because they're teaching us they're teaching us stuff, how it is, and whatever. And you know that's a load of rubbish. We know they're satanic and sexual, and you don't really want your kids watching any of it once you realise what they are. And then you've got Disney, you know, the man Disney and all that, and it's just like, by the time you watch that, you think, oh, I can't be bothered to go to watch a film then. None of it's real. It's all green screens. You know, they're in an empty room, and then when they finish, there's a whole town round them. But they wasn't. They were standing on their own, and then it's all the green screens go up and everything. All the special effects. And you think, well, why do you want to go and watch them? I think.
The whole the whole of this reality is just one big green screen. It is all frequency. It is just an experience. The best analogy is the one Ken Wheeler gives about the radio. The signal in the broadcast is not in the radio. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. The human body is like the radio. If you get rid of the radio, it doesn't get rid of the signal or the broadcast. It's still there. And on top of that, you've got most radios. They only go between 87 and 108 on FM. So what's either side of that? What's between 1 and 80? The 5 senses used externally are in that limited spectrum. So there are things going on that are outside of those senses. But when you turn those senses inwards, it's a lifting of the veil, and you start to see the real magic. The reason they put all these stories in the news is because of where the attention goes, the energy flows. And because it is human energy and thought and feeling that manifests things, by putting out a fear story, look, it's as simple as just flipping the polarity on everything. It's like, okay, I recognise this as a negative, I'll let it pass by, and then I'll see the positive, the mirror image of it. And sure enough, that's what happens. But we're trained to react. You have to react to everything, take everything personally, and it's like, well, these are just lessons. These are being presented to me, and it's a bit like if you've got 4 painters and you've got the fruit bowl in the middle. One's on one side of the table, one's on the other side of the table. The one will have a perspective where they may see the pineapples. From the other side, the perspective will be oranges and lemons or something. So they could equally say, well, this fruit bowl is full of pineapple, and the other one say, no, it's not. It's full of oranges and lemons, because they've got a perspective from one side. So the point of everything is always like in the middle of the circle, in the centre of the circle. You are the centre point of everything. So all it needs is having that peripheral vision and seeing it from all sides. It's like, why has that person reacted that way? Let me put myself in their shoes. What are they going through in their life? Have they just lost a dog or a family member? Are they grieving? So they might be a bit snappy. It's like, I'm not going to take it personally because I don't know how they feel. Again, is the thing, the community living, it has to be open, transparent communication. And I've said, but if you're feeling a bit under the weather on a particular day, just say. It's like, nobody's going to turn around and say, oh, you've not done enough work today. It's like, okay, if you're not feeling good, don't do anything.
Yeah, but you know that the day afterwards you'll be back out. We're going to say that we're watching Pure Folly, Real Magic and Abundance, but you think you've turned your phone on its side, so everything we're watching is, and it's actually you building that bit of bamboo thing up by your teepee, but the camera's on the side, James.
I know, I don't know what happened with that one, because somebody pointed that on the video and then they could see my shadow. I don't know why it turned on its side.
I think we'll go to another one because it's on its side. It's a bit annoying because you're obviously talking about making the wall there, but we'll go to another one. Yeah, we'll just go to another video and put you on. What one? Like I saw one. That one there. What's a tarot? Well, that one's a tarot. Because obviously this one's upcycling, creating earth, brick, mould, and composer box. What's that one then? Oh,
the composter box. It's.
I'll put that one on then.
And you put them in they become leaf mulch compost because they're in darkness, and keep them a bit damp. It encourages the worms to come up to the surface as well, so it's all good. Because the workforce is really the bees and the worms.
Right.
They're what's really keeps things going. And all the other insect life.
Right.
Nothing is interdependent. This is its version of making every nation interdependent on another nation. Because they're copying the nature program. But they're doing it in an unnatural way. They're doing a synthetic version of it.
Oh, I have to it does it every time. I don't know why, But obviously, when I make music, I turn the quality of the video down because it just stops it jumping when it's recording. But every video that I'm putting on of yours, I've got to adjust the quality, which I've already done because I've already done it for this video, and then the next video I'll still have to do it. It's weird, YouTube are weird. If I've already adjusted the quality, why do I have to adjust it for every video? But anyway, we're going to put it back on now. Just waiting for it to catch up. Come on, video. There we go, back on now. Yeah, it's us that don't work, isn't it? We've got computers and that, and it's not working properly, James. Whereas out in Portugal, everything works because it's got to work.
This reality works in the same way as a magnet. It feeds off its own poop, as it were. So what it's trying to do is harvest negative energy, try and emit a negative feeling from you. It's like anything you buy, it has planned obsolescence. Take a mobile phone. It comes to a point where you can't get an update for that particular make of phone, so you're sort of forced to then buy another phone. It's a very clever system.
So what you've got to say is, come to me, come to me. Is that right, James?
No,
come to me. Everything I want, this, and this. Come to me.
No, you decide that you already have it, and then you don't worry about how it comes. But what I've found is it's coming back like a boomerang within 24 hours of most things. It's incredible how quick it happens. It's like, and that is like a layer of the veil has been removed. And it's like now you can see why they keep these stories going in the media and keep all these things going, because they're harvesting a feeling from people that they've placed. But they're like bad scripts. An actor doesn't take a bad script. It's the death of their career. Hollywood shows this. But the whole...
Well, I hope it is the death of Hollywood. Honestly, James, I really hope that this world is beginning to crumble now, because they're all moaning they're not making millions. Like Bud Light has lost, oh God, millions. Just hope it's the end of this lot. They need to go, all of them.
Now, this is their version of pruning of the vine. So they're centralising. So you won't have Bud Light, you'll have to drink something else. Your choices are getting more and more limited. It's like a noose that's going around somebody's
neck. Is this
neck.
how they got rid of everything before? Because, you know, in my video, one of my videos lately, I've said I wish that in America they realised that 3/4 of it was abandoned. And that they, whatever it is, houses, star forts, palaces, you name it, hospitals, schools, towns, they're all abandoned.
Well, you've got three categories of
humans. They're just living in this abandoned place. This is what they do. They keep moving everybody around so you're not noticing it.
Well, you've got three basic types of human walking around. You've got those that are the sort of nihilist, materialist, you live and then you die and that's it. And if it's not physical, they can't see it, they can't touch it, they can't measure it, it doesn't exist. So you've got that group. So you'll have your ones that have built up the egoic from that position, because to them it's like you're saying my entire life that I've spent in this career has been a lie. They're not going to accept that. So they're never going to budge from that position. Now you've got the middle group, you've got limiting belief systems. That can be conspiracy theories, religions, anything else like that. That is also powering this reality from the feelings. So the best way to deal with both groups is like, do you remember that air hockey table game where you do the trick shot off the side and it bounces off and then goes in the goal?
Those little games we had in the 80s. We didn't have the same things as today. We were quite happy with tennis, weren't we? Da-dink, da-dunk. Da-dink, da-dunk. That's how it was, just a game of tennis, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically what you do is like, if you've got someone who's you just quote as your only saviour. Now you're telling me that you've gone to the doctor, so Jesus obviously isn't your own, and they don't know how to answer. That will make them even more determined. So you're like helping the system then, you're offering them a script, and it's helping them on their way. That is the biggest problem. This is what's keeping this craziness going. This is why I've called this place Wahnfried. It's freedom from madness. I see the patterns and all these tricks. It's trying to admit to doing it. And when I say this is a paradise, I'm not joking. I mean, they all say to me, oh, you do more than enough. You only need to do an hour, but I want to put the work in now because I'm thinking 3 years, 5 years' time, what have we got? What are we going to have? What's the life expectancy of an orange tree? Well, I think it's about 60 years. So thinking like the system, think long term. What about the next 60 years? Going to need orange and lemon trees, still going to need to eat, unless we go down the breatharian route. But, I mean, I could watch Old World Florida Channel testimony of doing 3 months on living on nothing but oranges, but I'd rather go in blank on this one and try it for myself, because I can't advocate it. I will never advocate something unless I've done it myself, because it's only a concept. But when I say, yes, I've done it and this is how I felt from it, that's talking from experience. That's what we're here for. Just to gain
Well, we're always
experiences.
supposed to be learning, aren't we, James? If we're not learning, we die inside. And that's why everybody probably gets stiff and grumpy and everything, because they're not learning anything.
Well,
And it isn't, I don't mean learning from the television. I mean learning for yourself in life. But if you're not growing inside and learning and realising that it's a bit like life is a bit like a classroom, isn't it? If you're not learning stuff, you're always going to repeat those old patterns. And we all want to be better because, well, you know, I get frustrated sometimes. You know, I got very upset one day before my dad's funeral. I just got really upset. Those things happen. You can't be perfect. You're going to break down sometimes, but you've got to learn, you know? I mean, Mickey's teaching me things.
From many perspectives of many religions.
My friends teach me things, you know, Amy's so kind. You know, you've got people, yeah. Monique's lovely, you're lovely, Claudio's lovely. You learn things and we all talk to each other, so that's good. So even if it's a wider community, it's a wider community, because obviously you're in Portugal, Claudio's in Canada, and Amy's in America, and it goes on. But we're all good friends, and we talk, and we learn from each other. That's what it should be, isn't it? When you're so insular, you don't learn anything.
Well, amongst many religions, there's a perception of like a perfect existence. So if you have a perfect existence, how would you know what sorrow is, sadness, or anything like that? So the only way to have that is to go through the experience of it. So,
and sometimes, isn't there, no pain, no gain? You know, sometimes it feels like it's going down for you to come back up again, if you know what I mean.
Well, again, this reality, oh, you've got a pain, oh, go and get a tablet to suppress the body is telling you there's a problem. It's something from it. That you've got a pain in the body it's a sensation through the nerves, it's communicating, but we're trained to, oh, I've got a pain, I'd better take a tablet. No, it's like...
Yeah, I heard that yesterday in the post. I went to pay a bill in the post office, and this woman said, oh, I've got swollen ankles, so I'm going to the doctors to get an antibiotic.
What they can do.
It's just we rely on them, but then they've taught everybody that they're safe and they're the doctors, and you know, no one's questioning it. We think all these things have been put in place to look after us and it kill us.
Well, the clues in the words. Why would you want to go to a practice? I don't want someone to practice.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
that's
how we've been. That's what happens. That's what people see. They think, oh, I need to go to the doctor. We all know. I haven't. You know, I don't want to go to the doctors.
I don't go to a doctor, except myself. Who's going to know first if there's a pain, me or the doctor?
Yeah. But it's the way that we've all been brought up. You're not very well go to the doctors. And then I think they do this on purpose. They say, oh, go and get your antibiotics, and then when everybody's on them, then they say, but if you take too many antibiotics, they don't work. And everybody goes, once they're on all the antibiotics. Do you see what I mean? They change it all the time.
Well, look at the word. it's bio.
It
so
says
it's
antibiotic. Antibiotic.
Yeah. All these tablets and things are synthetic versions of natural plants.
Yeah, that's the sad
They've
bit.
got-
We're not taking anything natural. And, you know, all the wives' tales and all the things, they were probably real stories. And, you know, things will heal you. Things are good for you. But we've gone away from that and we go and get a cream
Well,
that's synthetic.
Look at the word magic. You say magic, most people are going to think of a magician on stage who's doing tricks, and that's all they are. They're just illusions. They're a sleight of hand and gives the impression of something like a rabbit out of a hat. But they are tricks. So they've compartmentalized the word magic into something trivial, where the real magic is seeing this interaction with this reality.
Because a pill will always
sort
it out. But some of these pills, some of these antidepressants and that, people get hooked on them and can't get off them. And they don't kill things. So it's all...
They're also...
Oh, yeah.
Because you're dealing with a business, and the nature of that business is in the realm of sickness. So how do you keep customers if you're a business in sickness? You keep them sick. You give them something that maybe a decade later will have side effects.
I know my dad wasn't very well at the end of his life. You know, his kidneys didn't work properly and he had some kind of stent thing which actually came out of his back. I felt so bad about that, James. He kept saying his back hurt, but he was lying on his back. So I didn't see this plastic thing sticking out. Then he was taking heart medicine and cancer pills. And then he didn't feel like eating. And he stopped eating. So at the end, I think he was like an anorexic. Well, I was really upset about all that, really, if you know what I mean.
All he needed was a diet of the orange and lemons that grow here, and he'd be perfectly fine.
I had some cannabis oil for him, but he didn't want to try it, and I cried because I thought this would probably help you more than all your pills, but he wanted to take all his pills, so that's the way it was. And yeah, we're looking at Dr. Juan Forfar, the university, but you're looking into the valley. It says.
Yeah.
We're looking at flowers, but we've been going now for 1 hour and 10 minutes. I don't know how much longer. Oh, it's done the same thing. I've got to change the quality. But we've done 1 hour and 10 minutes. I don't know how long you want to go on for, James.
15% battery, so I can't go for much longer.
Oh, that's all right. Well, we'll just play this video out. It's 5 minutes, and then... Oh, I've got to get this right. Come on. Come back. Oh, everything takes so long. Look at it. Come on. Got to change it because the quality's not very good. Alright, let's turn it up to... You miss one. It goes 360 or 720. There's not 4, whatever it is, 480, whatever it is. Anyway, here we go. It's going to come back on. I'm going to look at some flowers. Well, it's always interesting talking. It's been a much easier phone call today, hasn't it, James, with the quality? Because you haven't disappeared or anything. The quality of the phone call's been really good.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, to view the internet, it's a tool that you can see it and look at all the negative stuff, or you can find the positives in it, like how to repair a zipper on a zip. It's so simple, just a pair of pliers. There's people who put these videos out showing you how to do things, and it's freely available. It's wonderful, that side of it.
Yeah.
The social, look how many people it's brought together. Can you imagine if you were...
Well, if it wasn't for social media, I never would have met you.
Imagine if you're starting to see the cracks in this reality and the history we've been given, and you've got no one to discuss it with. But at least now we can sort of pool resources, we can compare notes. There's the perception of, oh, it's invented by the military, they're spying us thereafter. So you've got the positive side. You can learn a lot. You can meet people on the same frequency virtually online. But I mean, a few people I have actually met in the flesh, as it were, as well. So, well, this is it. Julia invited me here about a year ago. She said you were the first person I invited, but at the time, I didn't feel I'd done enough inner work. I didn't feel I was going to be right to join a community. I needed to do some internal processing, and then it's like now we're into a new year, spring's here, you can feel nature's coming back to life, and it's like now I'm feeling frustrated because I want to be doing something rather than just sitting here.
Well, you've gone
So
to the
it's like,
perfect
well,
place for you, haven't you, James? How long have you been there now?
Well, what are we in June? So
February.
But no, the end of March it was. So
Is that
about
all?
2.5 months.
I feel like you've always been there now.
It
Oh,
does
that's
feel that way.
only
It's
2
lovely.
months, isn't it?
Yeah, my next project is I'm going to call it Rest a While. Yeah, I'm going to chisel it into the back, a bit like a park bench halfway up that hill, because depending on what you're carrying, it's like want to sit down halfway.
Right.
But it's such a beautiful place, and you've got this.
It's
symphony
wild
of
and
nature.
rugged, isn't it, James?
Yeah, you've got what I call the slopes of death, because when it rains heavily, you've got to pick the moments. But when it rains, it gives you this beautiful clay that you can work.
It can't rain that often, though, James.
Well, it rained the other weekends, both days. It's rained a couple of times in this last week, so it's all good though, because
You need the water for the plants, though, don't you?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, this is where the leaf mulch and putting tree bark over the top, then, which is what naturally happens in nature anyway, it helps retain all the moisture. So I'm not going to need to water tomorrow, because there'll be enough watering with what we had yesterday and last night and today. So that frees me up to do other things. Now the sun's coming out, yay!
Well, it's been really lovely talking to you, James. I haven't spoken to you for a little bit. Obviously my dad died and I had to go through the burial and everything. I don't know if I said very much on the channel. I didn't really want many of the time, but I suppose my dad's been buried a couple of weeks now. And it's been quite busy.
Well, that's where the perception of linear time becomes your friend, because time is a healer. It doesn't mean you love the person that's gone any less, but it becomes easier to handle.
I'm not in any denial that he's gone, James. I know he's gone, but I'm just sad. It's my dad. Yeah, he was 80. He was 86, I think. But he's buried. The two people next to him were 95.
Wow, that's pretty good going.
Yeah, so either side of him, they were both 95 when they died. I mean, that's a good age, isn't it? That would have given him another sort of, like 9 years. They were 9, yeah. But anyway.
To be honest, through, shall we say, events in the last few years, I'm surprised anybody's even living that long.
Medication. We need to send them to Portugal. You need some oranges and lemons from Portugal.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, the other thing is, you cut open an orange or squeeze a lemon, you've got seeds. You've now got a potential of another tree that's going to give you fruit.
I think that's how you have to look at it, don't you? It's always going to give, it yields not just the fruit, but it yields the seed.
Well, we've got these Jeep tours, they're basically Land Rovers with about 7 people in, so I thought I can give them free lemonade, and then if they wish to do so it doesn't impose on their free will. If they wish to show their appreciation and try this lemonade and feel the instant benefits, and then give a donation, we can plant mango trees and things, more nectarine trees. The only thing that's going is the bramble. If it ain't fruiting, then give them blackberries, because the old Sussex saying for bramble is what it's the name they apply to lawyers. The saying is, once they get hold, they don't let go. And that's
Ivy's a bit like that, isn't it? Ivy's a bit like that. It just grows around everything, keeps going.
Well, the problem with
the bramble,
bit of a
destroyer, isn't it, Ivy?
There's the thorns. The only thing I burn it in a little outside cooker, because they're paranoid that they had a fire sweep through here. The wind can go right through this valley.
Hello? Oh, James? Joe, I've had such a good connection. Are you still there, James? I'll just stop this for a moment. Damnations! We lost James! I think it was the battery on his phone ran out. But that was a really nice chat, just catching up with James. He's all the way out in Portugal. And he's having a great time doing what he's doing. This is some of the videos on his channel. If people want to go over and look at his channel. I really enjoyed that hangout. It's a shame that we didn't actually say goodbye on the hangout, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Anyway, very much appreciate all James's hard work. And he's thoroughly enjoying himself in Portugal. So thanks a lot, James. And we'll come back soon and have another chat. But thank you for your time and effort, James, and for having the hangout with us. James will have to watch it later. Anyway, thanks very much.